Well, I know it's been a while since I put up a Let's Keep It Real video. Um, just to start off, rip, September was not an easy month for me mentally and emotionally. Um, I felt like I had to deal with hidden issues that, you know, I tend to sweep up under the rug. I'm more of an optimistic person. I like to keep it moving. I like to keep things going. I hate to be stuck in a rut. And pretty much I just let things roll off my shoulder. Most of the time that's my personality. At the same time, I'm very strong. And I just don't like to have pity parties. I like to just move head forward. But a lot of times what happens is if you don't process information, mentally process it, and deal with it, it doesn't get discarded from your experience mentally and emotionally. It's still something that you have to deal with. So, things in childhood, things in adolescent, things in early 20s, late 20s, 30s. And so you sweep things under the rug and they get built up, built up, built up. And then you don't realize it, which I didn't realize it, that we use a lot of things to cope. Mine was food. Mine is food. And so the best way to protect yourself and to defend yourself is to know your strengths and your weaknesses, to know your go-to coping weapons, and to know what you're actually dealing with. Sometimes I have had a habit of not realizing when a bad emotion or bad thought comes up. I was turning to those cravings. And so September, I really was sort of out of control. I felt like I was at a crossroad. Like, okay, I could go either way. I can go back to that old lifestyle I used to live when I binged when I was 270 pounds. Or I could go forward in my life and become more of a healthy person, educated about my body and about things pertaining to health and godliness and whatever makes us better, makes me better. And so for a moment I was stuck at the crossroad. And when you're stuck, you more tend to fall back on old habits than attain new ones. So I found myself binging. I found myself sad about binging because when you know better and you don't do better, then the guilt sets in, because God protects the babies and the fools. And I'm not. And once you know something, you're no longer a fool. You've been enlightened. Now, if you choose not to use it, then you're just prideful. Someone who knows something and refuses to, someone who knows how to do right or refuses to do right is prideful. It's like, I can do this and get away with it. I don't have to do right. It's okay. So I was falling in a lot of pride, and it made me feel very bad because I found myself gaining weight, becoming emotionally, mentally, and physically unhappy. So I had to buckle down and go through the whole process of the transformation mentally, emotionally, and physically. Because once you start a bad habit again, it comes back with a vengeance, with force. And it's relentless in its attempt to say, this time I'm not letting you out my grasp. I'm going to hold on to you. So I had to go through a detoxification, not in the sense of juicing and all this, but in the sense of having those withdrawals, realizing, okay, I allowed this for almost a month. So now I have to be strong and fight this. I will get up still again, like I did in the past, middle of the morning, eating and things like that. So I had to actually pray and say, help me, give me the strength to get back on track. And I had to, first of all, deal with the thoughts that were coming up whether it's a thought about what someone did to you years ago, and every time that thought comes up, you don't even realize that you have a negative feeling and you push it down with whatever you use to cope. Some people use sex, drugs, food, whatever it is. Some people use abuse. They get angry and they abuse other people. They abuse themselves. Whatever it is that people use when those things come up, because it's hard to deal with things that we don't like, things that make us feel like a victim. So I just had to, every time a thought came up, instead of me running to food, I had to process that thought, process it mentally and emotionally. Okay. And then I realized, and then I spoke to the thought. Whether it was something that happened when I was a teenager and it kept coming up, I spoke to it. And whatever I had to deal with to make that thing a part of my past experience, that's what it had to become. And that can be post-traumatic stress, whatever it is. It's not necessarily something that's so traumatic, but it could be someone that pissed you off in the grocery line. And they said something too out the way, and you feel like, I should have, and you didn't. So you're thinking about it, and when it come up, instead of realizing, okay, that situation is over, I should have handled it this way. Some people get out of control, and and so they regret how they acted. Oh, I shouldn't have acted a fool, and they actually beat themselves up for it, and then you shouldn't act a fool. But if you did, it's like, okay, I acted a fool. I apologize to myself. If I could apologize to that person, okay, boom, boom, boom. And that is over. That's no longer happening to me anymore. And so I don't have to keep reliving that event. Or if you're on the other end of bullying, or if you're in a bad relationship, or if you got fired, or if you got divorced, or if you're getting married and you're nervous and you're scared about your new future, having a baby, had a baby, have a new boyfriend, you're single, lonely, whatever the situation is, we can't use vices to cope with these things that make us hate ourselves, because you're still going to have to deal with those things, but now you have to deal with feeling like you're mistreating yourself. So that's how I felt. In September, it was like I was in a fog. And it's been about, I would say, almost 2 weeks till I just recovered myself. It's like I went into my own recovery center. I went into my own recovery center, and I took the time to heal myself, my wounds, and to regain my strength again. And I'm still working on it, recovering that mental and emotional ground, that strength, that tenacity. So I just wanted to come forward with, to say some things that's on my mind. Probably not completely transparent. I didn't get into specifics, but I did want to share with you how I felt, what I've been doing. In September, I totally fell off the wagon, and that can lead to depression, because I used to be very depressed years ago. I hated my life. I hated myself. And I had gained so much confidence and transformed my body. I was a high school dropout, and I went back to school, got my diploma, and then registered for college. This was years ago. Registered for college. And now I'm in school to be a dietitian. I attained personal training experience. So it's like a lot of things happened during my transition to losing weight. I got the confidence to do things that I didn't do. And it's not about how you look. It's about how you take care of yourself. Once you start eating better, you move, you start exercising, you realize that you're worth it. Because what you do to your body signifies how you feel about yourself. And so I started getting more educated, got my diploma, registered for college, got a year under my belt, got one more year to get my associates, and then, transfer my credits and everything like that to get my bachelor's in dietetics. So it's like I've done a lot of things, and I don't want to go back to that life where I felt miserable and depressed. And I found myself mentally going back to that place. And I have a future ahead of me, and I had to remember that. And so now I feel like I'm headed back in the right direction. So this is my thoughts for today. Wanted to share it with you. Hopefully it will bless you. Hopefully you will realize if this is you, if you fell off the wagon, even if you only were on the wagon for a day, if you were on the wagon for 2 months, if you're on the wagon for 3 years, regardless, and you fell off, you can get back up. And you won't even remember the time. Emotionally, you won't remember it when you fell off. It won't sting you as much. It won't be like, oh, I remember I used to be so unhealthy. You'll remember it in a sense, well, I used to be so unhealthy, and I'm glad that I changed. So with each passing day, whatever you messed up on, with each passing day, you can recover yourself mentally, emotionally, physically. You can become better. And what you used to be, the bad thing that you used to be, will only be remembered in your intellect and not in your environment, not in your life, not in your heart. It will be a testimony that you can share with people on how you became the person that you were called to be. So hopefully this blessed you. If it did, give it a thumbs up, subscribe. There will be more videos, promise you that. My name is LaShonda. I'm signing out saying love yourself, forgive yourself, and if there is a tomorrow, which I believe there will be, do your best. Do your best. When you fall, get back up.